Welcome, I'm meteorologist Carley bringing you the latest on our weather impacts that we'll be facing this weekend across California. We do have a changing weather pattern. We are tracking a low pressure system making its way into Northern California for your Saturday morning and then officially moving down to Southern California by Saturday night into Sunday. So here's a couple of the weather pattern changes we'll be really facing. First, the inside slider, this low pressure system pushing in for us as we move into Saturday night. And by morning hours, we could see some of that snow, but the high pressure system offshore there will continue starting to shift in as well. But what we're tracking with the low is some dangerous weather conditions for Southern California. We've been tracking all the fire conditions out there, that smoke, the haze, and the wildfires burning in Palisades, Malibu, Eaton Fire, Altadena, Pasadena, as well as San Diego. Now they're going to be facing some low pressure system with rainfall into their areas, which may not be some good news, as a lot of that debris, that ash is still sitting overhead, and all of that rain could mean mudslides and debris flows in their areas. As we move on toward Wednesday, we're going to start to see this shifting still toward the east. Meanwhile, a high is in place and some more changes may be headed our way. But as we take a look in Southern California first, they are going to be dealing with a flood watch. That's going to be in effect until Monday, 4 p.m., especially for the areas, of course, that were devastated by those fires. It's not expected to be really a ton of rain, but we could see as much as a ½ inch to an inch of rain. And for the areas that have been hit by the wildfires, there's not enough trees up. There's not enough vegetation to absorb that water. So what we usually see is when you get that much rain over an area, you often get those mudslides happening. There's a lot of loose soil happening there as well. Now that's just for areas into the San Gabriel Mountains as well as near Altadena, but also near Palisades, near Malibu, and moving on just toward the north of that as well, just south of Oxnard there near Thousand Oaks. What we're expecting to see with that is in effect till 4 p.m. as they're going to continue to get on and off showers starting on Saturday night. The good news is we're starting to see some improved humidity levels in Southern California. They've been looking at some of these numbers as low as 2%. Bone dry conditions for Southern California now starting to rise up to about 35% or so, especially along the coastline, which is great news. Inland, 15 to about 25% relative humidity, and major improvements now near Camarillo as well as Oxnard. We know there was a fire burning there as of yesterday. Oxnard up to 77%. So increased humidity is going to be some good news for Southern California into our weekend, along with those showers. Now, as we take a look at our high resolution forecast, we will be seeing some of the showers beginning by Saturday afternoon, very light, maybe a few sprinkles here and there across Southern California, then beginning to bring in more of that rain on and off scattered showers as well into Sunday, and heavier rain from Sunday night into Monday morning. So again, good news when it comes to the relief from the fires, bad news when it comes to potential for mudslides as well as debris flows, or even looking at some snow hitting areas of their mountaintops there, San Gabriel Mountains, as they're looking at a winter weather advisory going to be in place there. Now, a little bit closer to home, Sacramento area, we'll be looking at what we saw today, I should say, is temperatures right around those mid 60s to low 60s. It was actually pretty warm today, where the average this time of year is right around the mid 50s. Upper 50s and low 60s, Placerville and Jackson, even warm in the Sierra at 52 and 51 degrees. Now, as we look ahead to the weekend, a wind advisory is expected to take place starting at 10 p.m. on Friday, lasting until 10 a.m. on Sunday. Now, the wind gusts in the valley could get as high as about 25 to 35 miles per hour, but mostly for the coastal range and the high Sierra, we'll see some of the stronger gusts there, upwards of about 45 to 55 miles per hour. Now, Sierra winter weather advisory will also be in place. We're talking a few inches of snowfall here, but still slick roads are expected. There could be delays, especially we haven't seen that much snow in a little while now. The roads are a little greased up from the cars heading up and down. Any kind of wet weather could make it a little dangerous on the roadways. So of course, you want to be careful for that if you had plans to head to the Sierra, especially on Saturday morning. Now, valley shower chances are expected, but they're expected to be very light. If we get it in the valley, it would pretty much be in an overnight event Saturday into Sunday morning. We expect some higher rain totals, though, for some foothill spots and even into the Central Valley. Areas like Modesto down through Turlock, Merced should see some higher totals as well. As we look at our satellite radar as of Friday night, you see high pressure still in place. We're expecting that low to continue its shifting path here up and over and into our area in a matter of about 12 hours or so into Saturday morning. Again, with that, we're going to see some strong wind gusts arriving into our morning hours as well, and then lasting until 10 a.m. on Sunday. There is that winter weather advisory we were talking about. That'll start up also and last until 4 p.m. on Sunday. We'll still see a few more scattered snow showers in the area even through Sunday afternoon and evening. And again, we're not expecting a ton of snow, but just enough to get lower elevations here, as low as about 5,000 feet, because of how cold it's going to be. We're intermittently going to get some cold air moving in between the cloud coverage, which is going to help out with some of our snow levels being a little bit lower. But again, we don't have a lot of precipitation. We're not going to get those higher snow totals. And that's kind of what we're facing at this time. We're going to get that colder weather. We just won't have as high of a volume of moisture at this time. Futurecast winds into your Saturday morning. The coastal range, again, that purple shade there, 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, and it's going to be mostly that west side of the valley. We'll still get breezy conditions from Sacramento toward the east, just not quite as bad as the coastal range. Strong winds also through the Sierra, moving down slope there as we're seeing easterly winds for South Lake Tahoe. Things start to change for us, though, as we move into the afternoon hours Saturday. We're going to start seeing that low continue to circulate right overhead, and what that does is it shifts the wind pattern. We instead starting to get that wind out of the north, we're going to start getting it out of the south. It's going to whip right back around for us, dragging winds back the other way out of the south and increasing those wind speeds once again. Sunday, we don't have an advisory in place into the afternoon, evening, but we're still anticipating some of those windy conditions and breezy winds to continue. We may even see the National Weather Service extending some of these winds into Sunday, just kind of depending on how long that low pressure system sits overhead and continues to bring some of that wet weather across the region. As we take a look at Saturday morning, 9 a.m., you can see some of the snow showers beginning there. And we're going to see that at the higher elevations. So if you had plans to go Saturday morning up to the Sierra, you may be able to get a quick morning start, get up there before it starts really coming down around 8 or 9 a.m. and then finally get into your snowboarding, which will be a lot of fun, but make sure you are prepared. There may be delays, and if there's cars headed up there that just kind of don't know what they're doing in the snow, that may cause accidents and shut down highways. So just be well aware of that. But here's where things get a little bit more tricky in our forecasts. By Saturday, 4:30 p.m., we're not getting a lot of rain again in our valley spots. We're pretty much just getting a few clouds, some sunshine in and out. But as you see here, this is the center of the low. You can actually see that rain actually wrapping around the area right around Sacramento to Stockton. That's kind of the center there. And then notice that you're seeing a whole line of band of rain there, bringing in downpours for areas just south of Sonora, near Modesto and Turlock as of the afternoon evening hours, with more Sierra snowfall as scattered snow showers into the evening. As we get to about 1 a.m. on Sunday, this is where we start to get maybe more chances of some showers moving towards Sacramento as that low shifts south. The wraparound bands could bring us some rain into our early morning hours on Sunday before completely heading south as we move on toward the end of our Sunday and the end of our weekend, unfortunately. Looking at our futurecast rain totals, again, as I mentioned, we're really not expecting a lot of rain. So if we get anything at all, it'll be a sprinkle, trace amounts, and that's a big 0 on the number scale there. Otherwise, about 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch for some of our foothill spots. Looking at our snowfall totals, again, not a lot of precipitation or moisture in this storm system. It's cold. We're actually expecting to see some of those cold and snow levels dropping down, but we're not getting anything sticking. So we could expect maybe 1 to as much as 3 inches of snow, according to our GFS models. According to our European computer models here, we're looking at very similar numbers. So they're pretty much in agreement that we're only going to get 1 to maybe about 3 inches of snow if we're lucky. Let's look ahead into February, because this is fun. As we start moving on toward in February, the end of January, January 31st, we're seeing the potential for a lot more moisture. This atmospheric river moving in, that is a lot of moisture associated with it. If it decides to hold true and tap into a low here, we could see a lot more rain on the way for February as we start off the month here with another one just out to sea Monday, February 3rd. And if that starts moving its way in and can latch onto another low, it looks like we may start the motions of getting more rain in the forecast to start off our February, which is great because we are behind now. We started off our water year ahead for Northern California. Meanwhile, of course, we all know Southern California is way behind. They haven't had rain in over 200 days. And now they're going to finally start seeing some rain coming in for our winter months. But winter's wanting to wrap up, at least climatologically. We start wrapping up by March 1st. So we have another month here to get more wet weather, but we could get some of that rain and snow really as late as April and May. We've seen it before. All right, let's take a look at our foothill spots. We're seeing temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s in the foothills, but overnight lows still very cold in those mid 30s. Bay Area, if you have plans to head there for the weekend, mid to upper 50s. You're looking at overnight lows, though, still right around the upper 30s and mid 30s. And then for our valley spots, very similar temperatures right around the mid 50s again to upper 50s. We're a little colder than we've been because we're going to start seeing that storm move in, bringing in some cold air from the Gulf of Alaska. And what we're going to expect with that is still some very cold overnight lows seeping in between the cloud coverage. As we move on through the weekend, still going to be consistent with our daytime highs for most of the week, mid to upper 50s. Overnight lows still very cold. But take a look, we're adding a few more raindrops on the map here or on our forecast just to let you know, hey, we may be looking at more storm systems headed our way.